I just want to talk for a minute about how good we have it and how much we squander our time and our energy. And it works against us because you don't realize how much more your body and mind were made to take, how much more they can take. And when you don't push yourself over all those little humps that make you quit, how your body and mind rebels. You ever toss and turn at night trying to sleep? All these thoughts running through your brain, is energy still going? That's your body and mind rebelling because you didn't push it hard enough during the day. You want to find somebody who sleeps like a baby every night? Find the hardest worker you know and ask them how they sleep. It's not the mattress. It's not the pillow. It's not the drugs, the sleeping aids. It's not what you ate even. It's not, eating can play into it. Overeating is going to mess you up, and eating right before bed, depending on your body, depends. But mostly, it's how much you gave during the day. Really, really gave. Not gave like I have some extra and here's some for you, but how much did you push yourself harder than you did the day before? When you push yourself harder to do mental exercises and physical together, which is what work really is. That's why the gym, in some way, do the gym if you're not doing the gym. If you're not doing anything, do the gym. But the gym is superficial because it's just isolating your muscles. Whereas real work, requires unexpected, which is a little bit of stress. You don't know what each next problem is going to be and how you're going to solve it. You don't know how much it's going to require. You moving 100 boxes somewhere you didn't think you had to move them, or sitting down and focusing and trying to come up with a solution to a problem that you didn't know existed 20 minutes before. It's brain and body and emotions, everything, overcoming it all. And that is where you're really giving of your whole self. And we're spoiled. Americans, Westerners, most of Europe, Canada, Australia, all these countries, first world countries, if that's where you're listening from, I don't know your individual struggle. Maybe you came from a difficult home life, or maybe you have a difficult medical disorder that people don't even know about. So, everybody's different. But in general, we have it so good, so incredibly good, and yet we squander it. We overeat, we finagle in escape mechanisms, video games, movies, TV, more than just a nice taste. We just squander our time binging this stuff, and our bodies rebel, and it just makes us sick. And meanwhile, here's a crazy statistic for you. There's a verse in the Bible, if they're into that, it says, when the slaves came out of Egypt, there was not one feeble or sick among them, that every single one was as strong as possible. And you can say, okay, well, that's 1,000-year-old story, who knows? But the American slaves, when they were freed in the late 1800s, there were stories, people took narratives of the first generation that lived both in slavery and freedom. And this one person's take, I just always stuck with me. And he said, we were never sick. We worked too hard to be sick. We never got a cold. We never got the flu. We were just so overworked that we were strong when all the people not working like slaves were getting illnesses. And this is not saying that slavery is good, or that anyone should treat anybody else that way. You shouldn't treat your employees that way, or your kids. Nobody should be forced to work like a slave. But Paul says, I beat my body and make it a slave. So if you want to do that to yourself, you are so much tougher than you realize. And what I do when I'm feeling typically lazy and unmotivated is I say, what if I was some 12-year-old kid in China in a sweatshop? How hard would I work? And yeah, sure, they're being forced to. But once they grow up and they're adults, they still work that hard because in the poverty, the people still in poverty, they work that hard to survive. And you might say, oh, well, nobody should have to, so why should I force myself? Well, the level of having to, and then the level of just squandering your energy and your gifts and your time, is there's such a wide range. And that's why immigrants who come here from poorer countries, in the first 10 years, they often totally surpass the Westerners in their new country. They get rich a lot of times in 10 years because they have that mentality to work hard, and they don't have to work hard anymore. The food is there, the shelter is there. They can be lazy Americans or lazy Europeans and just do the bare minimum that we do, but they don't, because they're like, there's so much to gain. Now my efforts actually get me real rewards. Why would I not take advantage of every second? Why would I not work 16-hour days and sleep on the floor of the shop that I own, and rather than paying for an extra bed in an apartment or something? They work so hard, and I say to myself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I work that hard? I can. I just don't have the mentality. So I switch it, and I pretend I'm one of them for a minute, and I start imagining how hard I would work, and I act out that role. And every time I feel like it's too hard, it's too hot, it's too sweaty, it's too gross, it's raining, I don't feel like it, I feel nauseous, I just tell myself, what if I was them? And I push past it. And you want to know something? The heat, the pain, the nausea all goes away, and on the other side of that is just an extra burst of energy. You guys are so much tougher than you realize. You have an almost seemingly unlimited amount of energy at your disposal that you are not taking advantage of. Take this as I'm at 10% and I was hoping I could do 12%, but I don't think I can do it because I really just don't feel like it. And tell yourself, wait a minute, there's a whole 90% that I'm just leaving on the table. And just throw yourself with reckless abandon into how much you could do, the possibilities, because you will shock yourself. You will absolutely shock yourself. When I hear people work 16-hour days, I don't feel bad for them. I think, what's my problem? Why did I not work a 16-hour day at once this week? Like, there's just so many amazing things you can do. And I'm not telling you to go out of your way to do meaningless tasks over and over again so you can clock 16 hours and say, I did that. I'm telling you to do what you want to do. Go for your dreams. If your dreams are to watch your grandkids at a fun land for 8 hours, do that. If your dreams are to host a dinner party and just butterfly around and make sure everybody's having a great time, I don't call that leisure. I call that doing what you were meant to do. But when life's little nags come along and say, nah, you don't feel like it. No, you want to stop halfway. No, you want to postpone this. You want to put it off. That's when you kick it and you say, no, I can do 10 times as much as I'm doing now. You could definitely knock this out. And you knock it out. So, be excited. Be super excited. I just told you that you have 10 times more life than you thought you did. Over the next 10 years, 20 years, the amount of life you thought you have, multiply that times 10. That's how much you have. How exciting. And even if you don't get all the way up to using every tiny second of it, all the way up to 100, just doubling it is not that big a deal. It's not that hard, but the rewards are amazing. Because if you just bump it up even 10%, you're going to fly past all your peers, and you're going to fly past all of the nagging, painful illnesses that come with not giving your all those little illnesses, all those little bouts of depression. I'm convinced every bit of anxiety and every bit of depression that comes at you is your body and your mind rebelling because they know you're not where you want to be. And a lot of people take issue with me when I say stuff like that. You can't tell people you're not you can't diagnose whatever. And I'm saying, I'm not telling you, this is a professional whatever. I'm telling you that's what I believe in my heart of hearts. And if you want to convince me otherwise, then show me, because everything in my entire life has told me this is what it is. I beat every bit of anxiety and depression I've ever had. by tackling the things I was afraid to tackle that I really wanted to. And I've seen other people do it. And it correlates to everything I've ever seen. The people who are constantly struggling, constantly falling back into the same sad things and whining and unable to get up out of the mud. When it comes time to doing stuff that they kind of want to do, but they're not sure they want to do it, they check out. They don't do those things. They make an excuse, and they do the easiest possible thing to do, the road of least difficulties, the easiest way out. So again, I'm not saying do the hardest thing just because it's hard. I'm saying do what you love and crush the things that tell you that it's too hard. Just enjoy beating the crap out of them and knocking them flat and running roughshod right over them, because you are 10 times tougher than you ever thought you were. I believe it, and I think deep down inside somewhere you believe it too. Let's do this.